The Board of Trustees meeting for August 25th, 2026 is called to order at 5:38 p.m. Please let the record reflect that Trustee Nandeep Singh, Trustee Harman Singh, and Trustee Sidhu are absent. With that, what are the wishes of the board on the adoption of the agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Vice President Sellers, and I have a second by Trustee Kerfan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We will now take any comments from the public on any closed session items. This is any of the closed session items, including our certificated personnel report, classified personnel report, employee discipline dismissal, release, litigation complaints, or conference with labor negotiators. Do we have any comments from the public on any of the closed session items?
Board President, 30 seconds have passed and there's no callers at this time.
Thank you. Hearing no comments from the public, we will adjourn to closed session and return to open as soon as we conclude close. Thank you. session. Items to report. We had Trustee Sadhu join us at 5:39 p.m. Trustee Harman Singh join us at 5:46 p.m. and Trustee Nandeep Singh join us at 6:15 p.m. During closed session, the board approved the certificated personnel report, 5-0 with 2 absent. Trustee Nandeep Singh was absent and Trustee Harman Singh was absent. The classified personnel report was also approved unanimously with 1 absent. Trustee Nandeep Singh was absent. There's nothing additional to report from closed session. Our next item on the agenda is the oath of office. So at this time, I will administer the oath of office for our newly elected student members. This year, we will be swearing in all of our 4 student trustees. As a reminder, each of our trustees serves 1 semester. However, in an effort to better prepare them and expose them to the materials that we're all receiving, and if they want to participate and attend any of the board meetings, they're all being sworn in today. I believe we have 3 of the 4 present. So I will invite the 3 trustees to come forward, and I will also come join you. So if you all, testing. Okay. So if you want to face the audience and you'll just repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jasmine. I, Simran.
I, Grisagar Singh.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
That I will support and defend.
That I will support and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith.
That I will bear true faith.
And allegiance.
And allegiance.
In the Constitution of the United States.
In the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion.
Or purpose in evasion.
And that I will.
And that I will.
Well and faithfully.
Well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Discharge the duties that I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hold on, don't leave. Yes, we'll do the other one. Yes, I started coming. So I do have certificates to provide each of you. Okay, we have one more to do. So I'm going to administer your oath of office. You can face them, and you'll just repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Aaliyah Rivas,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
in the Constitution of the United States
in the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and that I take this obligation freely
and that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully
well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
which I am about to enter.
which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Okay. Hi, I am Aaliyah Rivas, and I begin my term in the fall. Oh, in the spring, sorry.
Hi, I am Jasmine Brar, and I begin my term in the fall semester.
Hi, my name is Simran and I begin my term in fall.
Hello everyone, my name is Grisagar Singh and I will begin my term in spring, January 26th.
So you can display your certificates, and I'll invite the rest of the board to come and take a group picture. So now that you've both been sworn in, and this will apply to our other two student trustees come January, except I will no longer be serving on the board. There will be at least two familiar faces that you will see again, for sure. Trustee Sadhu, and then Trustee Kirk, and then we hope you will see some of our other colleagues again. But at least these are two faces that you will recognize. So as we move down the agenda on any items where the board has discussion, after we take the presentation, any public comment, I will then open the floor and ask either of you if you have any comments. Great if you do, any questions or just a comment that you want to share, and then I'll open it up for the rest of the board members. Once we conclude, if it's an action item, I will ask for a motion and a second. As student trustees, our board bylaw does allow you to make a motion. And so you can simply say, I will repeat what I'm asking the board to do on an item, and you can say so moved, or you can say I second that, or I move to approve whatever the action is. Once the item has been moved or motioned and a second has been taken, I will ask for a vote. I will first take your votes as our student trustees, and then I will take the remainder of the board. And that's consistent with what the law requires, that you provide a provisional vote. The intent is that to the extent that items are directly related to students, that you have the ability to potentially influence our decision-making by voting first. So if at any point you have any questions, just turn on your mic and speak up, and I will try to answer whatever questions you have, okay? And with that, congratulations and welcome. We will move on to our Pledge of Allegiance. If I can please have Vice President Sellers lead us. Thank you, Vice President Sellers. We move on to our community engagement information. Do we have our interpreters, translators? present? We do not. Okay, if anybody needs interpreting services, let us know. We move on to presentations. We'll first hear from the Foundation for Central Schools. I invite Executive Director Dohe.
Okay, good evening, Board Trustee President and Trustees. Thank you for letting me share the latest from the Foundation for Central Schools. Welcome to our student trustees. One is very familiar. She's been a volunteer with the Foundation, Jasmine. So thank you for helping over the summer. We have officially kicked off a new school year. Our Foundation board has approved a $352,000 operating budget, which is a 14% increase from last year, focusing on 3 main goals. I did provide also a handout with a brief overview of that as well, supporting 3 main goals: supporting classrooms, providing district-wide resources, and growing our scholarships. We want to make sure that every classroom has what it needs day to day, while also backing big picture projects that help all of our students district-wide. Plus, our scholarship and endowment programs are expanding to help even more students reach their college dreams. This year, we are expecting to award 30 scholarships across 10 programs, with 3 endowed scholarships carrying on Central's community's legacy. We're also giving every first-year teacher a $300 grant to help them settle in. So the new teacher grants are back this year, which we're very happy that the amount is at $300. Previously, that was a much smaller amount, so we're very happy to offer that incentive this year. Additionally, the classroom and club grant applications are still open until October 31st. I was able to share that information during our Admin Institute and also PD days, and also visiting some of our school sites as well, encouraging to apply and access a very simple online application. So we'll be awarding $45,000 to classrooms all over the district. And thanks to our Kaiser Permanente Benefits Program grant, projects focused on mental health and social emotional learning will get priority funding this year. On top of that, in partnership with Kaiser, we are launching a district-wide mental health campaign that includes funding yet again for our buddy boxes, which are distributed throughout the elementary schools through the NAMI clubs at all 3 high schools. So our students go out and distribute these buddy boxes and also do a presentation on mental health. It's a really fabulous opportunity. In addition, Justin Garzon High School has been selected to attend the California National Alliance of Mental, the NAMI acronym, I always get caught up, but they will be presenting at that conference this year in October, and the foundation is also supporting that for them this year. We'll also be partnering with Central High School leadership and again, all NAMI clubs to introduce a mental health minute campaign, which will be a video series of student voices around mental health. We've also teamed up with the Assistance League of Fresno to give 400 students a $100 shopping spree for school shopping. And this past weekend, we did send 100 kids to Burlington to get that school shopping that they needed. And in just a couple of weeks, even though it is a little warm, we are launching the Warm for Winter annual application where students can apply for outerwear. And this year's host school will be McKinley Elementary. Last year, we distributed nearly 3,000 outerwear units across the district to students who needed them. Our food pantries will also resume operation in late September, including the grand opening of the Panther Pantry at Hanfon Tilly Elementary. And one more thing to mark on your calendars, coming up really fast, is the State of the District on October 29th, which will be at 6 p.m. at Pardini's. We are now accepting nominations for this year's Pillar Champion Awards. 5 individuals and 1 business will be honored. The 5 individuals can be a central employee with a minimum of 5 years of employment. This is an opportunity for our staff to honor an employee, and this will be the 5th year of us doing so. And recently we were nationally acknowledged at NSPRA, which was very exciting for this initiative. So again, the Pillar Champion Awards nominations are available on our website. And all of the information that I did share tonight is available on our website. It's very user-friendly for teachers and families to find all this information and take advantage of it. Our foundation board is meeting bi-monthly this school year, and as always, I am available to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you so much for your continued support, and I do hope to see you all at State of the District. It will be in the evening, so I hope that works much better with everyone's schedule.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from our student trustees? Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Kirk?
Thank you so much. Thank you. And good evening. Good to see you back again. My only question has to do with the budget allocation. I'm not sure if I'm reading that graph correctly. Is that where the $352,000 is showing how it's allocated?
Yes, so educational impact is the big bulk of that. It's going to be the first chart there. Scholarships and business expenses is a very small percentage, and then of course our fundraisers, which do give us back about 170% return in value.
Is this a bar graph?
It is.
I'm sorry.
It's
Mine
okay.
is a zigzag line. That makes much more sense. Thank
No
you.
worries.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Nandeep Singh?
Thank you, Serena. Just want to appreciate you and the foundation, especially the continued focus with our NAMI clubs and around mental health. I think that's overwhelmingly a common theme that I continue to hear. So really appreciate that you all kind of centering around that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And my apologies. We do have our board treasurer, Valeria Garcia, joining us this evening. We did have some other boards, but I apologize on the time of tonight's board meeting. So I did say 7 o'clock. But again, I do want to say thank you to our board. We have a full board again moving into this school year, which is wonderful. I believe there's 8 of us, including Trustee President Carrillo and Dr. Marshall as well with sitting positions. So we are very excited to have a full board this year. So I'll see you guys one more time. Trustee Carrillo and Trustee Singh, and I personally would just want to say thank you. You guys have been here for my nearly 7 years and have been part of my initial job here. So I appreciate your continued support and everything that you two especially helped develop in what this foundation is today. And we're really just getting started. I think we laid the work that had to be done with the branding, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for our foundation.
Thank you, Director Dohi, and I'll just remind the board, as I tend to do every quarterly update, and especially as both Trustee Nandeep Singh and I conclude our service, it's that we fund her position. And right now it's her position, but that particular, and it was our commitment back in 2019, 2020 maybe, someone can fact check me on that, and it was a commitment of the board then to ensure that we also contributed and created a sustainable plan because of the growth and the commitment that we expected and we have seen. And that's really been your efforts. Those were the expectations of the position, but you really have flourished and really given a lot to our community and have worked and developed many partnerships to be able to expand the scholarships that we give to our students and to our teachers. And so that's all your work. So thank you very much. It's a small contribution that we do in funding that position, but thank you very much, and I hope that the board will continue to support you and support the foundation. Deep and I won't be too far away, so you'll still see us around. I enjoy the food drive that we do in December, and so I'll probably continue to support the district with that, but I encourage you all to continue to support the district and our foundation. It's given a lot to our students, so thank you for your hard work. And the rest of the board members, because we know you're all volunteers, so thank you.
Thank you. And I did include the holiday going date just early enough.
Thank you.
Everyone is aware of it too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. As a reminder to all in the audience and anyone watching remotely, our meetings do start at 5:30, and historically, well, historically, about 3 or 4 months ago, we changed it so that our open session begins as soon as we conclude closed session and no longer limited to 7 p.m. So if anyone is watching, if you intend to provide public comment, I suggest you safely drive over or you call in. The number is 559-276-3150, and we will take your public comment shortly. The next items are Central Unified Teachers or Employee Association highlights. Do we have President Bolton from the Central Unified Teachers Association? We do not. Do we have President Angie Aguirre from the California School Employees Association? Okay. We move on to item number 3, receive information regarding Ethnic Studies course update. Director English. And I have Director-Inclusion. That's not your complete title, right? What is your complete?
Sorry, it's been a minute since I've been up here.
Yeah.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Thank you.
Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good evening, President Carrillo, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Marshall. This is our progress update regarding the Ethnic Studies class, which was launched last school year in 25-26. So before we begin, just talking about how the course was structured. Once again, this is modeled after the California State model course curriculum. And as we went through that board approval process, if you remember, just to get that feedback, making sure that we were following all the guidelines. And what's important to know is that this is part of our district guiding principles and our core values, that we want all of our students to become productive citizens. And this course really helps students do that. But we are still using that state-aligned model course curriculum and focusing on culture, identity, equity, and history. The different methodologies that take place. This is not just a textbook class and answer questions, but students are engaged in discussion. They're engaged in different kind of projects, once again, focusing on our 4 major ethnicities. And what's really important is that the course evolves based on our students' demographic as well as the population of our area. And so in that, we hope to foster critical thinking, empathy, and cultural competence. And so once again, this is rolled out with our freshman students. However, those who did opt to take had that opportunity as well. In the previous school year, we did have 10 teachers that were teaching this course through our comprehensive high schools. And so these, as you see on the slides, that has the breakdown of where they were, with about 1,200 students participating. Students who were enrolled in alternative sites or who decided to take the course early had that opportunity to do so through the Edgenuity course. I was able to vet the course, making sure that it still honed in on those key concepts described on that previous slide so that they were receiving that same course curriculum, making sure that there was nothing untoward, because we know that when they do have people who are, providing information, we want to make sure that's aligned with our district values as well. So I was able to do that in that process. Some of the professional learning that took place with those 10 teachers included that cultural competency training, as we know that there are sensitive issues in this course, and we wanted to make sure that people had the capacity to really be empathetic and supportive teaching that course. As this is ever changing, one of our teachers at the time found a training on the APITA history, which is our Asian Pacific Islanders and Desi Americans, and finding that to really gain some more information about that, because there's not a lot of information, in different capacities for that. We also had some shared planning in our professional learning communities, and then PBS, Public Broadcast System, they did partner with some of our teachers through some different webinars and interactive components where they had some professional learning. I do have one teacher from Justin Garza High School, Mr. Josh Tabor, who taught that class, and he's going to share some experiences with us, because I feel that it's best to hear from those actually in the field and talking about the experiences, and so I'd like to invite him to speak.
Good evening, everybody. So I've been teaching this course for about 4 years. This is my second year as the PLC lead on this. And what we've seen over the past year or so is a really strong student connection with our local issues. Our lesson that will be shown in the next slide on redlining in Fresno has always really kind of they've gotten really attached to seeing how the fabric of our city has changed, why our stereotypes may or may not be for those areas as we look at the history of racial housing discrimination and racist housing discrimination practices and how they have played out in those stereotypes as well as the material conditions of those places. Along with our in-depth lessons on our Hmong communities, our Sikh communities, our Latino, Chicano, Hispanic communities, our African American communities, when the students have seen themselves in these lessons and on those slides, they have really connected to that and trying to kind of figure out their identity as they move into high school. Going into this year, we are always trying to find more and more ways to really localize this material. Myself and Cruz Piedra have been working hard to find more current local examples of the major ideas that we talk about. We are also looking really hard at issues of solidarity between our groups, so it is not just we're looking at this group now, this group later, right? Where is the intersectionality? Where is that solidarity between these groups as they have existed in our country? We are also in the very early stages of kind of collaborating with Carrie Conyer at Justin Garza and her African American literature course to really beef up the cultural side of our African Americans lesson and trying to create some cross-curricular stuff there. In terms of supports, really things have been very independent for us, and I think that's kind of how we've liked it, as we've just kind of experimented. We've used our knowledge as teachers, our connections to the community, and especially the wide range of opportunities, at least at Garza, to connect with other groups where we may lack that expertise. So that's where we've been at, and I think that's where we're going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And as we continue with that model and just being able to talk about talking about some of the feedback that the students have provided, I did send out 2 surveys. As we know, this course is a semester-long course, so have that distributed as much as possible to the students. And so that was kind of just simply a Likert scale initially with like, do you like this course, on a scale of 1 to 5, but then also going deeper, like what did you learn, what was the most interesting, because those are the anecdotal pieces that really determine like whether or not students are making a connection with this course. And so I just pulled a few quotes. I'm not going to read them all in detail, but I think that some things to highlight about the value of this course is that students are recognizing that maybe some of the historical contexts are not taught traditionally, they haven't been in their past. And these are freshmen taking this course, so they're realizing at this young age that some of the information has been not provided for them in those previous courses, and understanding that. Also, as Mr. Tabor said, having that sense of identity and being able to provide them the context to explore that, but not be bound to that, is really what this course is also about, especially as they engage with others who might not be of that same ethnicity or even of multi-ethnic backgrounds. And then as he also talked about the Fresno migration, really showing what kind of impact is happening here in the place that they live, and then talking about some of those pieces that might not be in the traditional historical textbook. I did attend one of those webinars with one of the teachers, and it was kind of interesting to see about the history of Hmong breakdancing and how that came about. And so that's something that we are still continuing to explore. So as this course continues to develop, we are still continuing with our content-specific information. As you can see, that it does take a great deal of forward thinking and continued growth, because we have to continue to evolve with the students that are in the classroom. Also being mindful of those culturally relevant practices, making sure that, and I think that we get, people don't understand what that means. It doesn't mean that you have to be an expert at every single culture or ethnicity, but how do we, acknowledge and interact with one another, and what skills are we developing with that? I know that some interest had been talked about, like, developing the course and talking about some of those upper division, and so we're going to continue to track that information and see where that can pair into the master scheduling, and then always listening and improving to the students and finding out, is this relevant and how can we make it better, and just what kind of supports, who do we need to bring in to listen to them in that process. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director English. Student trustees, any questions or comments? Board members, Trustee Kirk.
Thank you, Board President. Thank you, Director English. I'm very pleased to hear that the students are really engaging with this work. Thank you very much for this update. I'm glad that this is something that we're continuing to evolve and make sure it's something that our students can engage with. So I would just say for Mr. Tabor, perhaps for, as you are reaching out for more information and more local resources, to reach out to your local community colleges. There's a lot of content expertise there and a willingness to bring this to our students. And so I'm pretty sure anybody in that department would be happy to come and work with your, not only your professional learning group, but maybe come and even talk to the kids during that semester. So I highly encourage that type of outreach. And Fresno State too. Fresno State too.
We do have, we are planning some planning sessions so that they can meet with, as a local group with those teachers as well. So that is on the calendar. So I will reach out to the department chairs and see if they can reach out to our local community college support.
Fantastic. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for coming.
And if the department chairs don't answer, maybe, I don't know, email Trustee Kirk and see what connections and what she can do to support that.
I might know a couple of people.
Yeah, maybe. Hold on, sorry. We had a couple more questions or comments from the board, sorry. Trustee Kerfan?
Thank you. I just want to thank Director English and Mr. Tabor for coming by to give the presentation. It's always great hearing from you both and also learning how this course is evolving and how it's improving and becoming more relevant for our students' lives. I love that we're talking about redlining and how these how it's affected the history of Fresno. Is going to be, those lessons will then stay with the students for their entire lives. I was just curious because you mentioned this course, the curriculum covers the 4 major groups, is that?
Correct. African American, Asian, Latino, and then our Native Americans, our indigenous.
Thank you. I just have to ask then because I think one of the previous times you came by, you brought in I think when this course was originally brought, you brought the course synopsis, and there was a lesson plan included for the 5th ethnic group in Central, the Arabs.
No, that's part of the Asian ethnic
okay.
group.
Just wanted to clarify.
No, that is.
Thank you.
And they do talk about that in that course of study.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure we're included. Appreciate it.
You are.
Any other comments from the board or questions? Thank you. That concludes the presentation. We move on to Superintendent Board Communications. We will first hear from our Superintendent, Dr. Marshall.
You got it? All right, quick. Okay. Kind of give a recap on the first month of school. Basically, it's gone well up to this point. Lots of a smooth start as far as our implementation of the cell phone policy. I mean, that went very well. And we're dealing with some residual issues, and we'll get through that. If you look at this month, you can see that I participated in the run at Justin Garza this past Saturday. That was fun. I spoke at the City of Fresno Planning Commission meeting. And then I learned that several of our sites received awards from the Allegiance for Healthier Generations. And those schools included Biola, Halton Kearney, and Glacier Point. Looking ahead, we're looking forward to talks with our labor partners that they're going to resume from last year. The board subcommittee of bylaws, policy, and engagement, that group meets on September 15th. And then my advisory group is for students. That starts, we'll get that scheduled in the very near future. And then lastly, I'm establishing a group as far as for staff for an input group to serve as an advisory group to the superintendent. And some of the topics we're going to talk about, let's go to the topics. Basically, the 5 topics that I've been talking about since last year, looking at the fiscal crisis and the budget situation in California, governance and restructuring, student achievement, academic recovery, new policies on classroom environment, and then educator workforce challenges. So that'll be the themes that we talk about throughout the year. My final point that I have this evening is that we lost one of our family members and Donna Schaefer, and you see that the information posted, but she really made a contribution to our school district, and I wanted to close with a moment of silence in her honor. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Marshall. We move on to Student Achievement Engagement and Wellness Subcommittee. Who is the chair of the subcommittee? Vice President Sellers?
All right, thank you. The Student Achievement Engagement and Wellness Board Committee, subcommittee met on the 21st of August. We received several encouraging updates on student progress along Central Unified. The district reported a 94.1 graduation rate, continuing an upward trend in recent years and placing Central 6.3 percentage points above the statewide average of 87.8%. One of the biggest highlights was a significant improvement among students with disabilities, whose graduation rate increased from 73.6 to 93.1%. It's pretty amazing accomplishments. We reviewed college and career readiness data, showed continued growth in the number of students completing their A to G requirements, along with increased student participation in dual enrollment courses. District also presented a newly developed instructional handbook outlining priorities and expectations for Tier 1 instruction, professional learning, special education, mathematics, and literacy. And finally, the district shared information about some upcoming professional development sessions that are scheduled for September 3rd and the 21st. If anyone is interested in learning more about those, I'm sure the district would love to fill you in. And our next meeting is scheduled for October 9th.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Vice President Sellers? Okay. We move on to student trustee reports. Would you like to provide a report? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jasmine Brar, and I am serving as a student trustee this semester. My report focuses on the results of using the Yonder Pouch. At Justin Garza, the first week of school was pretty engaging but a bit chaotic. The first day, Garza cheerleaders greeted students as they entered, and students who came early got donuts. There was a huge line getting in and out of school to open and close the Yonder Pouches. From what I've noticed, these Yonder Pouches aren't bad at all. When students had their phones, they would spend less time interacting with their friends. During break and lunch, all you would see is a group of friends all standing around on their phones. When students get into class, the first thing they would do is go on their phones, me being one of them. Something my Spanish teacher said to the entire class on the first day of school is how everyone was talking to each other instead of just walking in and sitting on their phones. However, there's been ways students bypass the Yonder Pouches, such as using magnets, the pencil method, especially burners. No matter how much it feels off to not have a phone, I have to admit it's for the best. Some students have mentioned that getting sports updates and emails have been hard. When stuff is announced on the intercoms, it's hard to hear it because of all the noise, especially at Garza in the campus mall. We do have Chromebooks, but it isn't a very convenient method to check emails, important announcements, or even the time when we are at lunch or break. Something else I would like to add is how Garza's been dealing with Ms. Schieffer's death. Ms. Schieffer made a really big impact at Garza, and during lunch and break, they've set up tables to write notes to her family, and that was really nice of her school.
Thank you for that wonderful report. Any board members wishing to provide a report at this time? Trustee Sidhu and then Trustee Harmon Singh.
Yeah, I just also wanted to share a few words on Mrs. Schieffer. She was my zoology teacher at Central West. She was also the teacher that helped us found Interact Club. I also, so my friend group used to hang out in front of her classroom, in front of right by the office building. I think it was room 25, if I'm not mistaken. in the 20s. I don't remember the exact number, but she really took us all in. If it rained, we would be under a tree, but she would let us inside of her classroom during lunch break. We would hang out with her. I've actually personally even babysat her dog a few times. So this was a really big shock to me, and it doesn't feel real. It just kind of feels like if I were to go back to Central West, I would probably still see her there, even though I know she moved to Garza, but she was just one of those teachers at West that you just kind of always, the reason that school was special is because of teachers like her, and I mean, I can't piece my words together, but yeah, we're going to miss Miss Schieffer.
Thank you, Trustee Sidhu. Just same as, honestly, I think in this room there's probably four plus folks who had Miss Schieffer for one of their science classes, and I mean, I think last week when we heard the news, this is a really big loss to Central. What Miss Schieffer to me was a fierce advocate for student achievement, and she exemplified that in her ability to make students feel welcome and wanted in her classroom. And so, I mean, whether it was, showcasing her snake or like letting folks in her classroom just hang out, I think that for a period of time where Central West was known as is just a kind of a, I'm just going there for my freshman year and I'm transferring out. Miss Schieffer was one of the reasons why a lot of students stayed for their sophomore, junior, and senior year there. So that to me, I'm shocked, and I'm glad that so many people had the positive experience of coming across her.
Trustee Kerfan?
Sadly, I have to continue the trend. I also want to speak to the tremendous loss we felt this week with the passing of Mrs. Schieffer. I had her all 4 years of Central High. The first thing you notice in her classroom is her just perfect handwriting, as if it was typed out on a computer. And the last thing you noticed leaving was, I learned something new today. We like to talk about rigor here at the district office, but Schieffer didn't just bring rigor into her classroom, she inspired students to rise to the challenge. She brought upper division science electives to Central, and they had wait lists. She also served as advisor for the Interact Club, helping students complete tens of thousands of community service hours, the Zoology Club, which took field trips across the California wilderness, and the GSA Club, providing a safe space for students, whether they were out or in the closet, years before this country would even acknowledge the full civil rights of LGBT Americans. She didn't just teach science, she made science fun, and it's as if Central had our own Bill Nye right out here on campus. She was never the teacher to tell students that science wasn't for them, and she didn't give out handouts, but she did believe in second chances, and I was a recipient of many of those second chances because I was not the best student. If it was not for her mentorship, I would not have been accepted into a UC. I wouldn't have adopted my first cat, which she had rescued off the Central High barn, and I would not be a trustee here today. So I know I'm just one of the countless students whose lives she changed for the better, and my thoughts and prayers are with the Schieffer family as thousands of community members, former students, friends, and Central colleagues mourn with you.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Any other reports? Hearing none, go ahead.
I'd like to share one of my personal experiences with Ms. Schieffer as well. I had Ms. Schieffer last year, freshman year, as an accelerated biology student. She taught me everything that I have to know about bio. I came into her class not knowing what I would end up learning, and I found that she helped me develop my passion for biology, and she helped me expand it. During our winter finals, I was stressed out because I wanted to have an A as my grade ending the semester, and I told Ms. Schieffer that I really, really want it, and I was like, I need help. She pushed me. She helped me understand what hard work looks like, and when I finally did it, I got that A. She was really, really proud of me. And also, as she was the Interact advisor, I would always go to her when we had meetings. And my very first Interact event was taking care of the plants and the plants outside of Garza. She always took care of them. I mean, if it was her responsibility or not, she really loved them. And whenever we walk by those plants, I always think of Ms. Schieffer because she really loved them and she took care of them. And walking into her classroom, you can also see a bunch of plants, and those all remind me of her.
Thank you, Trustee and Trustees, for sharing your experiences. Hearing no further reports from the board, we move on to comments from the public. We've allocated a maximum of 20 minutes to hear public comment on any items not currently on the agenda. Community members will receive up to 3 minutes to speak and address the board, depending on how many speakers we have. Clerk, how many speakers do we have for public comment?
We have 2 cards in person.
Okay. Do we have any other speakers wishing to address the board in person that have not submitted a card? Okay, so we have 4 speakers. Do we have any phone callers? Okay. So you will have 3 minutes to address the board. Clerk, if you can please call the first speaker.
Our first comment comes from Laura Bolton.
Good evening. The first thing I'd like to say is that this is the first time that this change in board policy has caught me off guard. Not having the meeting start at 7 p.m. Puts the community in limbo of having to sit around between 5:30 and potentially who knows when, without being able to potentially use the restroom, go get food, get water. We don't have access to those things, right? So we're not going to feed the public while we wait, right, while they're having to wait around. So that's not cool. And so I would petition that the board reconsider this so that we can have a consistent start to the open portion of the meeting. The public deserves that, and I kind of think it smacks of some sort of violation. So that being said, I didn't get my minutes, and so I'm going to do my best to condense as quickly as I can. I was going to give you a massive thank you, Dr. Marshall. It's a real quick one now. Prop 3, I've got teams of people starting to head out to campuses this week. We could lose $67 million if it doesn't pass. That's specific to Central Unified. And we've requested that we'd like to partner with the district on the resolution for passing Prop 3. Concerns expressed about the PD being at North Point Church have still yet to be fully addressed. And some members are reporting that they are receiving unsolicited emails, including me. Recess break time has been restored to 15 minutes. However, concerns continue to come up about prep minutes potentially being encroached upon, being used for lunch breaks, for TK coverage, because we don't have our full day TK aides. Some of these people are being asked to be out there up to 135 minutes daily. These are our EL teachers, reading lab teachers, teachers on special assignment, instructional coaches, counselors, psychologists, highly paid people are doing yard duty. And then speaking of TK, we had you all approve a recommendation by the district last year to cut TK 8 hours from 7.5 to 5.5, specifically and only to save money by not paying them health benefits, which kick in at 6 hours per day. They were never paid with COVID funds. Funding was not cut for TK from the state. This was a cash grab by the district on the backs of TK teachers, TK aides, the families of these aides who lost health insurance this school year, and ultimately on the backs of TK students, our youngest learners, 3 and 4 years old, who are not all potty trained yet. So our teachers are documenting the shortages, and I am hearing whispers that some of them potentially may turn in the district, like I mentioned last time. I did bring this up last year in emails. I went back and looked, and maybe I'll continue next week. Maybe I'll just email this to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next comment comes from Susan Quezada. I apologize, I mispronounced the last name.
That's fine, Quesada, that was good. So good evening, trustees, the president, I'm Yesenia, and Dr. Marshall. So I'm here today to thank Dr. Marshall, okay? I want to thank you. We were at the last board meeting, right? You had parents, teachers, some community members advocating for increasing the children's 10-minute morning recess to 15. The increase happened, so I want to thank you for that. Like we mentioned the last time, although 5 minutes does not seem like much to an adult, but to a child and a teacher, those 5 minutes matter. Recess gives students time to move, socialize, reset emotionally, and return to the classroom ready to learn. It also gives teachers a needed moment to regroup before welcoming students back into the classroom. Restoring the time supports both students and teacher well-being and helps create a healthier, more productive classroom. I appreciate that our concerns were heard and that action was taken so quickly. This decision shows parents that when we respectfully speak up for our children, district leadership is willing to listen and respond. Thank you, Dr. Marshall, for prioritizing the well-being of our students and teachers and for giving our children back their full recess time. Thank you.
Thank you. President Correa, I don't have any other cards at this time, but I think we have another speaker from the audience.
Thank you, Trustee Kerfan. Good evening, Board Trustees, President Carrillo, and District Administration. I just want to take a moment to address the board directly. The change in this board policy obviously caught me off guard as well. I just want to say to the members that are on this board that when you all are here sitting as public servants, I don't believe that it's okay for you guys to let the public know that the meeting starts at 7 for public session and just start the meeting, honestly, whenever you guys are done with closed session. So I just want to make that very known that I'm voicing this opinion onto your board, that you guys should have actually waited till 7 for the public to start the public session. As this allows for those that are agendaized on the agenda itself to actually talk. If, for instance, if the public comments were skipped during this time, then how would the public actually have the ability to address the board at this meeting? So that is honestly all I wanted to say today. Instead of the public playing a guessing game, please just start public session on the time that you guys have allocated it for. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we have any comments from any telephonic callers? Okay. And I do just want to clarify that the agenda, and I'll have to go back to our minutes, because if it was agendized to say 7 p.m., that would be a Brown Act violation. The agenda provides that closed session begins at 5:30 p.m. and open session begins immediately following closed session. I understand historically we've started at 7 p.m., but I just want to point that out because the agenda clearly states that information. With that, we move on to our consent agenda. Our consent agenda includes the adoption of resolution number 2526-06 proclaiming September 13th through the 19th of this year as National Arts and Education Week. We also have resolution number 2627-07 proclaiming September 13th through the 19th as Suicide Prevention Week. And those are the two resolutions that we have. What are the wishes of the board on our consent agenda?
President Carrillo, before we make a motion on the item, I just want to highlight, acknowledging suicide prevention, that this is a mental health crisis affecting so many people in our community. And we sometimes think of the students, and we should always, that's our first most, responsibility as trustees. but they're not the only people in our community that are going through tough times, going through mental health challenges. I learned somewhat recently that we had a former theater teacher in Central who passed away this year due to suicide. So we have to also check in on each other as adults, on our colleagues and our staff, because you never know when something like this could happen.
Thank you, Trustee Kurfan. Returning to the item at hand, what are the wishes of the board on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. I have a motion by Trustee Kurfan. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Trustee Kirk. We will now move to approve the consent agenda. We had a motion by Trustee Kurfan and a second by Trustee Kirk. Student trustee, how do you vote? So we're voting for the consent agenda. You would now either say aye, oppose, or you abstain from the vote. You're abstaining? Okay.
And then the consent agenda is items M1 through 6 on your agenda.
Correct. So she is properly abstaining from this item. Good job. Thank you. The remainder of the board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We move on to our action items. Our first item is accept gifts to the district. Assistant Superintendent Ekbal.
Good evening. We have one gift. Central High School received a donation of $20.07 from Ohio Pile Prints for the Associated Student Body Accounts. Administration is recommending the board accept the gifts to the district.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board, beginning with our student trustee? Okay. Anyone else? What are the wishes of the board?
Motion to accept gifts.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion to accept gifts by Trustee Sadhu and a second by Vice President Sellers. Student trustee, how do you vote? Okay. Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. We move on to approve emergencies. Nope. No, we don't. Approve the sale and disposal of surplus obsolete district property. Assistant Superintendent Ekbal.
Good evening again. Attached is a list of items that will be surplused by the district, which means the items are unacceptable for use by the district. Administration is recommending the board to approve the sale and disposal of surplus obsolete district property.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board, beginning with our student trustee? No? Hearing no comments or questions, what are the wishes of the board on this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Vice President Sellers, and I have a second by Trustee Sadhu. Student trustee, how do you vote? Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We move on to item number 3, approve contracts for Renaissance programs. Director O.
Good evening, members of the board. This item is a request for board approval of the Renaissance Accelerated Reader contract for the 26-27 school year for the participating elementary sites. Accelerated Reader supplements our core literacy instruction by supporting independent reading practice, checking student comprehension, and providing teachers with progress data. The program's primary goal is to improve reading and vocabulary skills with our iReady and CASP ELA as outcome measures through our academic return on investment process. The total cost for this is a little over $25,000, and it will be funded through our site Title I funds. Administration is recommending that the board approve this Renaissance Accelerator Reader contract for the 26-27 school year.
2 quick questions. How does this impact students? And then is this a returning contract? So is this a contract we've had before?
Yes, this is a returning contract, and Accelerated Reader promotes students to practice reading on their own, and so it's supplementary to our curriculum.
Any questions or comments from the board, beginning with our student trustee? Trustee Kerfan and the Vice President Sellers.
Thank you. Now, we've had the accelerated reading program for probably like at least 2 decades, right?
I don't know how long we've had the Accelerator Reader program because it was a program that started before my time here, but I do know that we've had it for a while.
Okay, because if I remember correctly, I remember being able to participate in this program as a student, and yeah, it encourages students to read, encourages them to understand the comprehension because then they're taking a test at the end. And this is all independent reading. It's in their free time. It's time that they're not scrolling through social media or looking at AI videos on YouTube. They're actually learning. So I think this program has been pretty beneficial for our students.
Vice President Sellers.
Director, can you just provide a little more context of what Title I funds are?
Title I funds are federal grant funds. It's to supplement our core programs. It's not in replacement of, but it's in addition to. So, for example, Title I funds are given for schools and districts that have a higher low-income percentage of students, and because I think our schools and school district, we have about 75 to 80% low income. We do get additional funds from the federal government. And like I said, sites can use this to supplement their funds that we do give them out of our general fund, and they can use it for anything related to instruction.
All right, thank you.
Trustee Kirk.
Thank you. Director O, is this the first time it's been offered at all of these school sites, or it has been ongoing at all of these school sites?
It has been ongoing. So every year we do ask sites if they want to continue, and I believe all of these sites are renewing.
Okay, I guess then my question is going to be that later on in the agenda, we're looking at our student plans for student achievement. Yes. And so specifically, as looking through some of the schools as I did tonight, I didn't see like mention of this type of thing, but there are schools like Houghton, Kearney, and specifically Madison who are having those lower points of success with their students in their reading. So would that be the place in that student plan that I would see the use of this type of support system?
For the school site plans, we can talk more about it during the information session, but the school site plans, some sites are a little bit more specific in the contracts they do get. Sometimes they will say reading programs or intervention programs, and oftentimes contracts like this would fall under that umbrella. But yes, if they have a goal that specifies or calls out reading or reading intervention, this would be part of that.
Okay, I think I'll save the rest of them for the information item. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, what are the wishes of the board on this item?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Trustee Kirk. I have a second by Trustee Kerfan. Student Trustee, how do you vote? Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. We move on to item number 4, approve out-of-state travel. Director English.
Good evening once again, President Carrillo, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Marshall. Administration tonight is requesting approval for 3 staff members to attend the National News Literacy Conference held in Salt Lake City, Utah from October 8th to October 10th. The National Literacy Fellowship Project aims to build staff capacity to equip students with the skills to critically evaluate information, recognize misinformation, and to make informed decisions in an increasingly complex digital world. All of the associated expenses for this will be funded through a fellowship received by this cohort of educators who are attending, and administration is recommending that the board approves this out-of-state travel request.
Thank you, Director English. Any questions or comments from the board, beginning with our student trustee? Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, what are the wishes of the board on this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I heard a motion by Vice President Sellers and a second by Trustee Kerfan. Student Trustee, how do you vote? You approve? Okay. Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And we move on to our final action item for tonight, approve authorized signature and mailing permit. Assistant Superintendent Ekbal.
This authorization allows account specialists to finalize and approve purchase order up to $800. It allows purchasing analysts to finalize and approve purchase order up to $499. And it allows purchasing manager to finalize and approve purchase order up to $35,000. Again, I'd like to clarify that this is an authorizing purchasing order. It does not involve payment or paying vendors. The payment process is overseen by a separate team within the fiscal team. Administration is recommending the board approve the authorized signature permit.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay. What are the wishes of the board on this item?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. I have a motion by Trustee Kirk, and I have a second by Vice President Sellers. Before I take a vote, this requires each board member to sign, so do not leave tonight until Anita has collected your signature. So on the matter of approval of authorized signature and mailing permit, student trustee, how do you vote? Approve. Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries with Trustee Kerfan absent. We move on to our information items. Our first item is receive information regarding modernization scope for the Herndon Barstow Elementary School Modernization Project. Director Rodriguez.
Good evening, Board President, Trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Marshall. Tonight, administration is providing an informational update on the district's Herndon Barstow Elementary School Modernization Project, which will be presented by Temple Anderson and Moore Architects, TAM for short. This item is for information only. And no board action is requested this evening. At this time, I would like to invite Jared Ramirez. He's a principal with TAM Architects to walk the board through the presentation.
Good evening, board members. I just click that. Oh, there we go. So yeah, I want to give an update on our progress on the Herndon Barstow modernization. On the second slide here, I just want to go over some scope elements. So there's three kind of main scopes on this. There's the modernization scope. On here we have a number of buildings, Building D, Building E, Building G, Building K, Building L, Building M, which will fall underneath the modernization scope. And I have plans later so we can see all those buildings. I have I think 6 portables here. They're under modernization, but they're just being relocated on the campus and getting exterior painting. There's no other modernization work that's in there. In the modernization scope, these classrooms are going to get new tack board, new ceiling tiles, new carpet and base, new interior paint, new casework, new audio-visual, so new teaching walls, bringing those up to date with district standards, and new lighting. Then we have remodel scope. We have a remodel of the existing admin where we're going to add 3 classrooms to the existing admin while updating the administrative portion of the administration building, and remodeling the admin support spaces. And this will include getting new tack board, new ceiling tiles, new carpet and base, painting, new casework, and new lighting in that building. We have the remodel of the existing multi-purpose building that will be converted into a new library and a new student services, student support services space. And then overall we have exterior painting throughout the campus. Under new construction, which is the third part on this, the site is getting new power upgrades. So we need that includes a new main service to the site to bring it up to current standards, and new battery energy storage systems to store any renewable power that's generated on the site. The campus fire alarm system will be replaced and upgraded to current standards. And campus-wide audio-visual upgrades, so the PA system and like I mentioned before, the teaching walls will be upgraded throughout the site. There will be a new multi-purpose building, so cafeteria, stage, and area for the students to eat. And then we are also, I think when I was here last time, I believe February, we talked about the M&O portion of the site that's being relocated, so that's going to be converted into an additional staff parking lot. I want to talk a little bit about elements that are not included in the scope. We don't have upgrades to any of the ball fields. There's no upgrades to playgrounds or site landscaping irrigation, window replacements, HVAC upgrades, roofing replacements, or anything on the existing parking lots. And then the portables that we're relocating, we're not doing any interior finish or upgrades to those portables. So on the next slide here, I just want to walk you through. So this is the existing campus. What you kind of see in white is everything we're demoing. So at the north part of the campus, you'll see a little bit of demo. That's where the portables are going to be relocated. I'll show you that in the next slide. A big portion of this is right there, kind of in the middle of the campus, that red line. That's the existing building F. It's a 5-classroom building. That will be demolished and made room for the new multi-purpose building. And then you can kind of see the portables there on the south side. Those are the ones that are going to be relocated to the north. And then the maintenance and operations yard and parking lot area there on the south of the site, that will be where the new staff parking lot is located. So here is our remodeled site plan. So in yellow, we have all the buildings that are getting modernized, and those are the things that I talked about earlier: tack board, floor, base, painting, casework, lighting, and teaching walls. We have the portables in yellow just to show that they're part of that modernization scope, but as I mentioned, it's those scopes are just relocating an exterior paint. In blue are the areas that need to be remodeled, and the gray with the green, that is the new multi-purpose building. So I kind of want to show you, this is the existing building F, so you can see that there are 5 classrooms on this site that are going to be taken out of service because of the demolition for the new MPR. And part of the remodel scope is how do we gain back those classrooms? So building A, the administration building, we are gaining back 3 classrooms in that space, and we're doing the remodel to the admin. And then I have put building C in here. We're adding 2 classrooms in that building, so we have a total of 5 classrooms. That's how we're reorganizing the site. And then we have the existing multi-purpose building cafeteria. Now that we're building a new multi-purpose cafeteria, what do we do with the existing one? The admin right now holds the student support services and the library. We are converting this building into a new library and student support services, which is the counseling center there with offices for those folks that will, psychologists, social workers, whatever the site needs for that. And then the next slide is the new multi-purpose building, so you can kind of get an idea of you know, how the kitchen's laid out, how the multi-purpose area and stage is laid out. And then the next slide is our schematic preliminary design of the exterior of the multi-purpose building. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Thank you. I am certain there are questions or comments. Student trustee, any questions or comments? Okay. Vice President Sellers?
Thank you. Director, do you know when the last time Hernan Barstow received any kind of modernization or new construction?
I think the last work that was completed there was done by Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. They had a couple portables that had some damage there about a few years back. That's what I can recollect. In that project, they modernized or cleaned up a couple of restrooms that were by the admin as part of that work.
Okay.
I think that work was done 2 or 3 years ago, and
Correct.
wasn't it to support the Thinkery, whatever, yeah, but they were running a program for, yeah, so I think that was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. With the, was there any obligations to the county with that construction, or do we have to continue providing that space on this campus, or anything along those lines?
Well, those are 2 county-owned buildings that they currently own. We just got involved when on the restroom portions to help facilitate them to actually open up, made them both unisex restrooms.
Okay.
That was the only involvement that my department had.
Okay. I think this is great. This is one of our older campuses that definitely needs to be modernized. It's been long overdue, that the community has been waiting for. One of the complaints I remember hearing was restrooms. Is that being addressed?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. In building, in the existing multi-purpose building where the existing kitchen is, we are making that into 2 new student restrooms. So
Okay.
we're adding fixture counts.
Okay.
For students there.
Is there more restrooms for staff?
I believe we're modernizing the staff restrooms in the admin, and then we're adding staff restrooms in the new NPR.
Okay. That's all my questions for now. Thanks.
Trustee Kerfan?
I'm not seeing a timeline on the attachments. Do we know when construction will start? Particularly demolitions.
Yeah, we put forth an aggressive schedule to get this approved by the state, so I would believe our anticipated timeline for demolition to start would be at the after school. Kids are out at the end of school year, 27.
Okay, so when you say after school kids, after students are out, do you mean after 3 p.m. or during the summer?
Summer.
Okay,
So
thank you.
As beginning of June, can't remember exact date, June 5th, June 6th, somewhere around there. After the last day of school, we're hoping to have contractors start on the demolition.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that we are keeping that in mind when planning or scheduling, because, I mean, I hope we've learned from Justin Garza that it is not conducive to student focus when there is construction happening on site. It can be a safety hazard, as well as, all the chemicals that can be flying around from demoing very old buildings. And yeah, just also, I guess for admin, please make sure that if it's happening during the summer, that we have plans for the summer school if we're providing that at Hernan Barstow, so that way students aren't exposed. Thank you. That's all.
Any other comments or questions? Trustee Harman Singh.
So on the slide 4, on the remodel site plan, what is that most southwestern area? Is that like a patch of grass that's going to be there?
What is the top?
Bottom left, the white.
I think the white just indicates the existing ball field that's out there, or grassed area.
Okay.
And no scope of work out there.
Okay, no scope of work. And then for the new parking lot that's going to be established on the south side, is that going to be covered by solar, or is that just a kind of just?
There's no plans for that at this time.
And additionally, is the construction of that new multi-use building going to be removing any trees?
There are a number of trees. I have them kind of where we're putting the portables. I think we're losing 4 trees. Where we're putting the multi-purpose building, we're losing 2 trees, so a total of 6 trees. But we're adding 5 back by the portable and adding 6 down by the NPR, plus maybe a few more in the front of the building.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I just have a couple. So I'm glad, well, not glad, because my first question is, do we know how old those portables are?
They're, yeah, at least 30, 40 years old.
Okay.
They're
So as much as I hate portables, I understand the law. So do we need to do any upgrades to those portables? I know you
to the
mentioned
ones
we're only
we're
doing.
relocating.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you meant Building F, those ones. I don't think those have been there.
Well, we're removing Building F.
Yeah,
though.
we're sorry, that was my confusion there.
Yeah, no.
No, the four we're moving, I want to, 20? We did those a long time ago, and I think about 20 years, so, yeah.
Okay. And what are their conditions? So I know you mentioned that we're doing just the exterior paint on them. I don't think we're doing any updates in the interior.
No. So when they get moved, most likely, you know, the wood foundations and all of that stuff will obviously be brand new. They would have to put those new substrates on. There's really nothing that we do inside those portables other than MOT does go in there, and I think periodically change the carpets in those portables, but.
So I guess my bigger question is, are they in a condition that they can be relocated and we're still going to get how many more years out of them?
They're in fair condition. When they get moved, we'll evaluate them. I know a couple of them have new HVACs onto them, so it's an ongoing thing that our MOT department is pretty much on top of it. So they don't look antiquated, but they are, you know, but they don't look that. They're in good shape.
Okay, from the interior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, to the point of the HVAC, I think we replaced that, at least in the last 5 years. That was one of the projects, which takes me to the PA system. Was this one of the campuses that we didn't update? I thought we just redid the PA systems in all of our campuses.
I don't think this one was
Was it
included in one.
excluded?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was because of this modernization, so.
Okay.
PA fire alarm is going to get updated campus-wide.
And I think my recollection about the needs of this campus, in addition to the restroom issues and parking, has been that there is a large number of students and we need more classrooms. So I'm glad we are not losing any classrooms. But was there any discussion about expanding and adding more classrooms? Because despite the fact that a portion of this board redistricted and went through all that pain, I believe we still have a large number of students going to that campus. And I keep looking at Vice President Sellers because he knows those numbers better than I do. So I'm concerned about not hearing anything about expanding or adding any additional classrooms.
There's one additional classroom because in that current area, and just let me know if I misspeak, but where the multipurpose is going, where they're demoing those row of classrooms, one of them is a teacher's lounge. So that teacher's lounge will be in the new multipurpose building. If you look at the highlighted kind of white area up at the north where those portables are going to get relocated, there's room for growth there.
Okay. And then lastly, are the changes to the administrative building, does that leave any deficiency there? I mean, is there a need for more space for admin?
I don't believe so. I think we looked at that as, we've worked on this campus for 20 plus more years with some of the portables and looking at this project specifically. And I believe the admin is meeting the needs of what they need for the administration purposes. But I think adding the library and the support spaces in the old NPR, I think that's where we may have been deficient, but we were able to grab some of that space with the new NPR to create more offices there.
Okay. And then my last question. Can you just confirm that we actually spoke with the site administration and hopefully our area administrators as we're developing these plans so that they are meeting the needs of the campus?
Yes, absolutely. I pulled the principal out of a classroom he was teaching just to kind of get a couple, of approvals on some of this stuff. But I've been meeting with them on a routine basis, just
Okay.
kind of keeping them updated. They're pretty excited about it. So.
And so then the construction timeline is next summer. What are the next steps on this project? What can we expect next, and when's the next check-in point with the board?
Check in, but I could speak to that. So for us, like I said, aggressive schedule. So we're looking for having state approval, DSA approval into December, first part of January, and prepared to go out to bid shortly after that, maybe February, and be able to bring a contract to the board for approval prior to, it's May, so that we can have contracts executed for June. So for us, I think that is our schedule. And any other specific details on the schedule that you were looking for?
No, that answers my
Okay.
question. So I think Trustee Kirk and Trustee Sadhu and Dr. Marshall, I would recommend that the next check-in point come after the DSA, that there be an information item to update the board, notifying us that the DSA has been approved and even presenting a timeline, acknowledging that it's aggressive, and then the next steps for the bidding, because DSA approves December, January, we go out to bid in February. I think it just would be helpful for the board to be aware of that.
I think one of the things I want to bring into consideration is when we demo the MNO building, it has to be moved somewhere. So if we are aggressive with this schedule, we might have a conflict. So one of the other things I want to bring is the MNO building and the warehouse that needs to be at least start building. So that's the other contract I would bring in the other architects so that we can get a design for the MNO, because if we demo that, there's no house for them. So it's going to be a juggling ball for me. But we're going to work on this. So
I assume that was already resolved since it wasn't mentioned during this presentation.
No.
We're well aware. I mean, I don't remember if Trustee Kirk and Trustee Sadhu, definitely not Trustee Harman Singh, were already on the board, but that's been a discussion at least a year and a half or 2 years ago when we were initially looking at the facilities plan, that the M&O is a problem. We're removing them, but we don't have anywhere for them to go. So best of luck to you all. And Vice President Sellers?
Thank you. I just had one more question regarding the drawing here. For the office, I know the current existing layout is that parents and anyone entering campus has to ring in from the bell, someone has to come outside, open it up, and then they're not entering directly into the office. In the drawings here, are we adjusting that there's now a door that feeds directly into the office before entering the campus?
It's really small, but I believe there is a door facing east there. So that, because I think one of the things is also like single point of entry that we want to make sure that we take care of as part of this project. So, being able to fence and have a secure access to the admin from the parking lot, and then once they check in, being able to go out that door on the north into the campus.
Okay. I'm looking at it here, and I just wanted to make sure I was reading that correctly, that's going to be a door. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we move on to item number 2, receive information regarding approval of 26-27 school plans for student achievement. Director O.
Right, good evening, members of the board. Tonight's item is information only and provides an update on our school plans for student achievement, or SIPSAs. The SIPSA is each school's primary site-level plan for identifying student needs, establishing measurable goals, and determining the actions and resources that will be used to improve student outcomes. Sites review academic attendance behavior, EL, and other relevant data to identify needs and performance gaps. Based on the analysis, schools develop goals, actions, services, and expenditures that are aligned to those needs, and school site counselors are also responsible for reviewing and approving the SIPSA at the site level. At the district level, our state and federal programs team reviews each plan and supports documentation to ensure that expenditures are appropriately connected to the identified student needs. So administration is requesting that this item return to the board for approval at the next board meeting. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Director O. Trustee Kirk?
Thank you very much. So as I look at this, I'm guessing my question is, I know we're tracking for expenditures to make sure the money is spent the way it's supposed to be spent.
Yes.
For Title I funding. Is there an evaluation method to see, as schools set these plans based on their data, what is the mechanism to see how these plans work? Is it just the next plan, or did I miss some pages?
Can you repeat that question? I'm not quite understanding. Are you asking about how we evaluate whether a SIPSA is successful?
I would guess probably just at the site level, at the very least, that, you know, I'm reading through some of the plans and somehow they're wanting to do some of the things they're wanting to try to use interventions to address like chronic absenteeism, and there's things about what they're going to do about that. So is there a site evaluation at any point to see how these plans they came up with worked?
Not officially. It's
Okay.
it's not as if we are grading the sites based on if their site plans are actually producing measurable outcomes. We do have informal conversations. I know that the area admin, for instance, they meet with the principals regularly to go over their data, and my team also meets with the sites to review what the data is. For example, for chronic absenteeism, we would review last year's SIPSA and then say, where are we right now at this site for their attendance? And so we don't have like a formal evaluation system, but as we rewrite the SIPSAs year over year, we do amend our goals and actions to account for changes.
How does the LCAP and the climate survey come into play? Because I thought those were like indirectly, I don't think we get like another plan that then looks at each school, but I thought that those were kind of the ways that we measure.
Yeah, let me explain. So the school site councils are responsible for evaluating data, and they have to show during their school site council meetings that they've kind of followed the progress of the previous SIPSA, and then they have to make decisions and vote on the actions that they want to address for the next. So they have to show that whole data evaluation, and you'll see that. You'll see the metrics in the SIPSA, which is why all that data is in there. But they can also pull in other like local data, benchmarks, things like that, and dig further as they go. But they're required to do at least a minimal in their minutes, acknowledgement of the data, analyze it, and talk about how the actions are affecting that. The LCAP is more of a district-wide, and it's for different funds. So the LCAP is more of those supplemental and concentration funds for the local control funding formula for those 3 unduplicated groups, whereas the SIPSA is more the federal title funds, Title I being like a wide swath of our population, and so they're allowed to use them school-wide. This year, they incorporated the Prop 28 because those funds were incorporated into their plan instead of doing a separate one. Next year, potentially, there's another grant that's coming in that may end up being incorporated, so you'll see actions related to those specific funds and their purposes, and the actions on those have to be targeted towards whatever groups those are. Does that answer both questions?
It clarifies for me. So this is really just a reporting of how the money is going to be spent to address the goals, not if the goals, if absenteeism goes down or if ELA reading, passing those students on. Those are reported in another report.
So these, you'll see, and you should see reflections based on the last year's SIPSA and what kind of adjustments the school site council wanted to make and why, based on, there's an analysis in there where they have to look through those metrics and they have to kind of give some explanation of past and the evolution based on the data and what they're trying to accomplish.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Vice President Sellers?
Building on that, are there opportunities for growth and improvement in how we kind of track and evaluate the effectiveness of our, whatever we're targeting, or our goals are, whatever steps we're taking? Is there a better way to track that?
As far as SIPSAs?
Yeah.
So the SIPSA is a required literal format, and the school site councils are required to be the ones that are in control of that. And so we do advisement, we do data, as he talked about, data chats to help them digest that. But the the school site council actually has a state-required constitution, how many teachers, how many parents, how many other, the principal are all required, and they have to make the decision in order to legally spend those funds.
So in my experience, having been on school site councils, they're not necessarily the most robust and informative groups, kind of made up by the handful of parents that really want
Sometimes.
to be involved. And
Or that can.
I've seen both. I've seen very, very active school site councils and very, very strong advocating school site councils, and I've seen some rubber stamps. So we really try to encourage, and as a principal, trying to move one that it was just there because they were the only parents I could get on there, and trying to train them up to ask those questions and look at that is part of the process.
so is there, I guess if I'm understanding this correctly, ultimately it is up to the school site and the school site council, but is there an opportunity for the district to provide oversight and guidance to the school site councils collectively that is more informative than, hey, you know, here's the plan, you got your choice between A or B, which one do you want? And
No.
we're going to go with A.
Yeah, we can't do that. What we are allowed to do is we have to provide training at the beginning. We have to support and help them with the metrics and those kind of pieces. We, on top of that, go through and help fully with the analysis piece with the school leader. And on several occasions have attended in the past school site councils to advise, to continue to answer their questions. Ultimately, the district's role is to review and make sure that the compliance is there and that they've analyzed and done appropriate analysis and that this is what they're doing. On the flip side, though, our principals and our teams are accountable for improving those student results, regardless of whether it's through the SIPSA or through the other actions that they're doing. So there's still that accountability for moving student achievement forward, which is what most of those funds are designed to do.
Okay, I guess some of my concerns are, if my goal is to improve chronic absenteeism, and I'm going to implement all these different steps that really didn't affect this at all, but just by a fluke, absenteeism improved because whatever reason, I've got a new batch of parents, a new batch of kids coming in. How are we gauging and saying that those steps we took and invested in were effective, or we should continue to invest those funds into that?
That's a great question. We'd have to dive into something specific only because, like graduation, chronic absenteeism is one of those really complicated metrics to move because there are so many reasons that students are absent or late or missing class or some point. And so without knowing quite which ones you're talking about, because there's different ways to measure different pieces, ultimately, just like the LCAP, we have a package of things in a lot of these plans, and so it's hard to distinguish, was it this section or this section that really made the big difference? They both were done together. Chronic absenteeism improved. That gets a little more tricky, especially when you're dealing with like a small community representative group like the school site council, and much further integrated analysis of data sometimes. So on some cases, it's easy. On other ones, it can be extremely complicated. We'll have to talk about it like a specific one.
So in general, no, there's not a way to evaluate what we're doing.
Other than did chronic absenteeism improve, and that was what you were saying you were doing to target it, there isn't a really easy way to do that.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, this will return under action at our next board meeting. We move on to item number 3, receive information regarding 25-26 unaudited actual report. Assistant Superintendent Iqbal.
This is a placeholder, and the next board meeting, there will be a presentation summarizing the financial activity for the fiscal year 25-26.
Thank you. Our next item is receive information regarding resolution number 2627-08 to establish appropriations limit.
Again,
Assistant Superintendent Iqbal.
Sorry. Again, this is a placeholder. The resolution will be presented in the next board meeting along with the unaudited actual.
And then our final information item for today is receive information regarding McKinley Elementary School kindergarten playground shade purchase. Director Rodriguez.
Good evening again, Board President and Trustees and Superintendent Dr. Marshall. For your information, tonight is a proposal from Park Planet Company to procure playground shade equipment for the McKinley Modernization Elementary School project. The playground equipment will be listed on our bid drawings as owner furnished and contractor installed. The proposal is through a nationally recognized cooperative purchasing contract that's available to local school districts and public agencies. Administration has determined that this purchase is in the best interest of the district and is recommending that this item be placed on the September 8th, 2026 board agenda for action. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on this item.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? So this shade structure is for the playground we replaced last year?
It's the kindergarten on, yeah, it doesn't look like it's been replaced recently.
It's not one that we recently replaced?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Any other questions? Can you double check and we'll have this item return under consent?
I definitely will.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our information items for tonight. Advanced planning, our schedule should be attached. You can take a look at our upcoming agendized items or anticipated items. Any additional information and closing comments from the board? Vice President Sellers?
Thank you. One of the things I've heard here in the last week with the feedback to students in the Yonder pouches is that most of them don't wear watches and they were using their phones as a timekeeper. Is there any way that we can kind of get an update on the clocks that are available at the facilities so students know how much time they have left and or what options are with the bell schedules? I know that last year, I was told one of the sites had music that would play in the last 90 seconds before the bell would ring, that's not an option anymore, or no longer there. Just making sure that kids are actually in class on time.
So on that same vein, if students are identifying these gaps, who should they be sharing them with? I mean, I love that they're sharing them with you, but I would like to expedite getting that information to administration and hopefully our principals so that we can probably respond more quickly rather than waiting to hear from us.
I will be meeting with leaders via Zoom. However, I had promised our students when I went to their student body meetings last year that I would come back at the end of the first month to also see them and get feedback from them. So I'll be making those rounds.
Okay, so we can we make sure that we develop a system for them to be able to provide more immediate feedback?
Yeah.
So that some of these issues can get addressed as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it would definitely be through their site admin.
Okay.
But I will email tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay, the last final comment I'll say about I know 2 people were upset and I'm sure others were upset about starting early. We changed our start time for closed session to 5:30 and we changed the 7 p.m. commitment in an effort to get done quicker, earlier, so that our student trustees are not here so late because our meetings tend to run. As you notice, our student trustees have left early and they tend to leave around 8:30. And so I know that it makes people uncomfortable. I hate change as well, but we're just trying to adjust to be as efficient as possible. And so, again, we'll do our best, but typically we conclude about 6:37 our closed session, and to the extent we can share information with other folks. But I do want to remind you all that our agenda was properly noticed, and we made that change over 6 months ago, and this is the first time that we actually finished as early as we did. So I apologize that some of you are upset about that, but others are benefiting from it. And it's 8:14. So our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 8th, 2026. We begin at 5:30 p.m. for closed session and immediately following for public session. We don't need to adjourn into closed session or reconvene. What are the wishes of the board on adjournment?
Second.
I have a motion by Vice President Sellers. I think I heard Trustee Kerfan. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you and good night.